Thanks, Lloyd. Absolute pleasure to present to you guys today. Let me introduce myself quickly. So Lloyd's done a great job. So I have been helping marketers navigate the complexity of the digital marketing ecosystem, starting with email, but obviously other channels obviously becoming quite important part of the digital communication strategy. And today we really wanted to invite Kath to our webinar as well. Kath is actually someone that I've been following for probably the last 10 years. You know, she's a very experienced kind of a guru in the email marketing industry, not only in the UK, but also across the globe. And we really look forward to sharing some of the insights with you today. Kath, over to you. Oh, sorry. Tell me. So let me give you a quick intro into who are MAP if you guys haven't heard about it yet. So one of the parts of the business that we do is the omni-channel marketing automation. Obviously, anything from the email marketing campaigns to mobile push to in-app and to SMS. All of this is underpinned with a rich customer kind of a acquisition layer where we are able to enrich customer profiles through other channels, whether it's through paid media interactions or web behavior. And all of this is overlaid with rich customer insights. What we are realizing that analytics is not always readily available to the marketing team to actually execute the campaign. So we are bringing the marketing-friendly insights rather than analytics that are fueling all of these different technologies, whether it's email, mobile push, in-app, or SMS. And we work with companies across the globe, whether it's like Puma, Virgin, Sainsbury's, Xerox, or Unilever. And now, over to you, Kath.
Sorry, yes, I'm now unmuted. Thank you very much, Lloyd. And thank you for the introduction to both you, Lloyd, and also to Rick. I've been doing email marketing now for over 20 years. And believe it or not, even though I was on mute, I've actually been doing webinars for about 10 years. So hopefully I don't have another glitch like that again. But the thing about email marketing, and in this particular case, we're going beyond email, which is what really, really excites me, because that's why my company is called Holistic Email. Because what we do is we look at it holistically, so we look at basing it on the customer journey, which we're going to be talking a lot more about later on. So it's all about the customer, it's all about the customer journey, and therefore we can't just limit ourselves to one channel. Hence, we're going to be looking across channels in this particular presentation. Here's a little glimpse of some of the brands that at Holistic we've had the pleasure of working with. We love doing lots of fun strategic things with them and getting to get that holistic approach. So I want to just sort of set the scene, and that's basically my role here today, is really to be setting the scene, to be giving sort of like the credence, the understanding to the principles, and then Rick's going to delve in and he's going to show you and inspire you with some fantastic examples, and also sort of go into a little bit more gritty detail. So guys, if you get your notepads ready, because you're going to have a lot of information to be taken away today. So, to kick off, I'm going to ask you guys, right, as a brand, how do we generally achieve our goals? You know, what is it that we are focusing on? Because traditionally, we've always focused on us, the brand, our goals, right? How we, and particularly when we're looking at a push channel such as email marketing, because we're pushing our messages out. So it generally tends to be about we, the brand, doesn't it? We have a sale. You know, check out our new releases, our new products, our new range, that kind of thing, which I think tends to be a little bit too pushy when you're looking at it coming through a push channel as such. And so what I'm really wanting to do is to ask you, what do you think you are currently doing at the moment? Do you focus on the brand, which is the one on the left, or do you focus on the customer, right? Because it's a really, really tricky thing, and I know it's a fine line to actually be working that one out, because we're rewarded upon our KPIs, which are meeting the brand's success, you know. So the brand has got business goals, the brand has got your marketing objectives and all the rest of it, and we have to meet those. And I'm not saying don't do that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a little sort of change of mindset as such. Because if we actually start to think about focusing on the customer and only focusing on the customer, right, in our messaging, I'm not saying all together. We have to be focusing on our goals. But if we make our messaging all brand or customer focused, if we make our email programs, our entire customer journey all customer focused rather than sort of more brand focused, what we end up doing is that we have a win-win situation because we give the customers what it is that they want. Now, think about that, right? A customer comes to our website or they come and they sign up to receive emails, they buy a product and they're on our email list. However it is that they start to engage with us, that's generally because they've got an objective. And our goal is simply to help them to achieve that objective. That's really what it is, right? Now, it doesn't mean that we can't have other objectives. So we want to be, upselling and cross-selling and retaining them and increasing the customer lifetime value, increasing the average order value and everything. Absolutely. So I'm not saying don't focus on those. But the whole thing here is that if we can stay focused on the customer and why they are there on our site, why they are engaging with us in our emails and our social channels and everything, we're more likely to be able to deliver to them what it is that they want, and therefore we by default win, right? We get our goals too, as opposed to us focusing on pushing out messages. We have a sale, we, and we're kind of like forcing it down them, and they're kind of, that's when they'll start to tune out. So start to sort of think about that, and that's really the essence of what today is all about. Now, supplementing all of that too, I want to be really, really emphasizing when you're doing this, lead with strategy, not technology. Now, MAP has got great technology, and you're going to get to see, sort of the things that they can do with it, right? And that you can do with their technology. So it's not undermining technology at all. It's not, making it a minor thing. But what I'm saying here is that you're the marketer. So you need to be leading with the strategy. Now, when we're talking about strategy, I'm talking about starting with the business goals, starting then moving down to the life cycle objectives and the life stage objectives, moving down to then those strategies which help you to achieve those life stage objectives. And then finally, you've got all of the tactics which help you to achieve, and support and deliver upon those strategies, which then help you to achieve those life stage objectives, which then help you to achieve your business goals, right? So this is the strategy, and this therefore means that we need to be considering it. We need to be understanding our customers, understanding our products, understanding the life cycle, and really putting all of our wisdom and our experience into it. And then what we do is we use the technology to bring it to life. So it's a really, really, it's a fantastic fit, technology and strategy. Where it can go wrong, though, is that if you just lead with technology, because technology is out there, and it's fantastic, particularly when we're talking about email. We've got some amazing features out there, and it's so easy to let them lead us with, using that feature and everything. But that's where we might find there's a bit of a disconnect in the customer journey. If we actually create that strategy, then we are going to be assured of actually delivering the lovely customer experience that we really want to. Now, what we're now talking about here is customer experience marketing. That's what it all comes down to. And, I've been talking about customer experience now for years and years and years. And it's literally, it's just sort of getting on, everyone's talking about it, but still people tend to, it's still a bit of a phrase as such, right? What is it really? How can we really achieve it? So what I did is I did a bit of research using email, using eDataSource, and going in and having a look at a whole bunch of retailers and their email marketing, so all of the emails that they're sending. And I started exploring and finding out about, looking at the results and everything. And I identified there's three main pillars of customer experience marketing. One is helpfulness. Two is personalization. And three is being customer focused, right? So we're going to talk about all three of these today because this is really, really central. And they all kind of like lead into each other. It's very hard to have one without another, right? But it can be done. But it's a nice natural fit. And what we found with this was that 60% of brands who had emails that invoked or used 1, 2, or 3 of these particular pillars actually achieved higher read rates so a read rate is similar to an open rate, than those that scored lower than the average. So basically, the increase in read rate ranged between 102% and 468%. So we're not talking anything small here. We're talking about helpfulness, personalization, and customer focus actually delivers the results when we're talking about engagement, and the engagement then turning into real, sales, products, whatever it is that your particular conversion equates to, right? So helpfulness. This was I'm not going to pause too long. There's a link to the report if you want to download it and everything. But just to give you an example of what we found. We found that not many brands are actually doing well on the helpfulness side of things, and which I think is really, really a shame, because helpfulness, if you think about it, it is easy to achieve. And this is, when I'm talking about how, if we start focusing on the customer, what is it that we absolutely adore in life, really? I mean, besides your dog and your cat and everything, right? We love being helped. We love customer service. We love it when someone says, hey, can I help you with this? So I'm traveling at the moment, and I'm getting some lovely, wonderful people with Uber and everyone, helping me with my bags and everything. And seriously, it makes my life easy. And that's what we want to do. We want to make their life easy. We want to help them to get to their, to achieve their objectives as easy as possible. So therefore, we want to be helpful. So here is a lovely example. This is from a Premier Inn, which is a motel chain in the UK. And what they're doing here is that they're just being incredibly customer focused. So I said there is that bit of an overlap, but they're being helpful. And there's lots of brands out there who do a great job of this. Unfortunately, not all of us have really clued on as such that is it. And I'm not saying we only have to be helpful if we're an Uber or a Premier Inn or anything like that. We can be helpful if we're a regular retailer as well. It's our approach. It's basically taking that customer service mindset and trying to help them that way. Now, personalization, that's an easy one. We've been talking about personalization for years, and it started off with segmentation, and then we moved over to dynamic content. And as Rick's going to be talking, there is that evolution, and then we're moving on to one-to-one personalization, which is what we're seeing here with Secretscapes. It's a UK brand who's a travel brand, online travel brand, and they basically have an amazing program which delivers very, very much a very personalized experience based upon your preferences, what you've been browsing, your history, and all the rest of it, so that they're sending out millions and millions and millions of unique and individual emails. So they were up in that 6% of brands who scored between 7 and 9, but as we can see, again, the majority of us are still not quite getting there. We're still using minimal personalization. And then the customer focus. Again, this is one of the easiest things to do. Personalization, certainly when we're talking the one-to-one, you do need technology. You need technology like MAP to be able to deliver that. But a lot of the customer focus, a lot of the helpfulness, that's all in that strategy. That's all in, how you write the copy and in your actual program strategy. So they're easier to achieve. And even so, look at the results. Only 4% of brands are actually customer focused. And I think that's a huge shame. So here we can see your VIP vouchers expire tomorrow. This is just between us. And then they go on then and they say, your car hire voucher has also been extended and everything. Email is all about the individual. It's all about the customer. They're not talking about we're giving you a car hire voucher and like that. There's no we in it. So, and that's a really, really easy way to actually sort of do a quick little, are we looking at a customer-focused email here, or are we looking at a brand-focused email here? Count the number of we's and ours as compared to you and yours. Things like that, right? I mean, I know it's a very, very basic way, but it's a good place to start. So we're now that I've sort of set the scene, we're now at the first of our sort of points, of our ways of doing it. And how I've actually put this together is just basically how we can help them, all right? How we can help the customer. So the first one is how we can help them to be more personalizing their experience. And that's going to give them good results, right? The bottom line is that we as humans, as I was mentioning before, we love customer service. And one of the reasons why that is too is because there is an element of personalization. And with personalization, it's a gem because we actually love to be recognized as individuals. So, as we love to be recognized by individuals, it achieves many things on many different levels. You know, there's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It touches into that. But there's also little things like yesterday, right? So I'm flying over from London to Denver. And I'm just there in my seat, and then I had one of the British Airways customer service people come to me, and she said, "Miss Pei, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm fine, thanks." And she greeted me in my seat. You know, obviously she knew my seat number and everything, but she greeted me by name. She said, "I just wanted to let you know and to congratulate you because this is your 100th flight with British Airways, right? So this is the 100th flight that you have flown with us. And what's even more significant about it is it's British Airways. It's their 100th birthday this year. So, you know, it was really lovely. So she came and she did that. And unfortunately, I didn't get anything else. I didn't get a free trip or like that. But that was okay because I felt a bit chuffed. I liked that she'd gone and taken the time to come, give me that little bit of recognition. You know, so this is really what we're talking about. That little bit of recognition, and that's called overt personalization. And then in personalization, it is an art, right? And you can also, though, have the covert type of personalization, which is more that serendipitous one. So that's that sort of like, oh, wow, fancy that. I was just looking at that product the other day, and now in the newsletter, they're actually showing it, or they're talking about it. Oh, that's a coincidence. So that's a serendipitous type of one, and that's the covert personalization. But there's different ways that we can be achieving it. It's all good, and it's a matter of you testing and finding out which one works the best for that particular program, for that particular email, for your particular brand or your products or anything like that. Often it will be a case of both covert and overt can work well. So what we want to do is we're wanting to have a look at this here. Now, I don't want you to focus so much on the actual brands and their positionings. What I want you to do is just look at those top 4 brands, right? And the question is here. This was a survey that was done of consumers. Which retailers are you most loyal to because of the marketing messages that you receive from them? And let's just look at the top 4. Amazon, eBay, Tesco, Argos. Okay? So you're familiar here in the US with the top 2. Tesco is a big food store in the US, in the UK, and Argos sells everything as well as except for food. They sell all products. They're kind of like a Target type one, but they're only online. Okay, so we go and have a look at those. So you've got those 4 there. Now let's go and have a look at this. The next question is, which retailers are best at sending you personalized marketing messages? Let's look at the top 4 again. Amazon, eBay, Tesco, Argos. Now, does that seem a coincidence? It could be a coincidence, but I fully, with all of my experience and everything, I fully believe that it's not. I don't think it's an anomaly. I don't think it's a coincidence by any means at all. I think it's there because personalization delivers your customers a better experience. It makes them more loyal to you. If you're giving them a wonderful experience that's personalized to them, that you're actually acknowledging them, that you're recognizing them, you're going out of your way to providing them with that customer service via personalization, then there's no reason for them to go elsewhere, to look elsewhere. Human natures are lazy by nature, and unless we get a bad experience, we're not likely to move because, you know, hey, if you're doing a great job. So the bottom line is that if we can start to leverage that essence of laziness within humans, then that's good, right? So personalization works. So we did a study, and we actually asked marketers how, where they're at with that personalization. And we found that 6% are at the one-size-fits-all, so they're not doing any segmenting, they're just doing that batch and blast, sending, the same email to everyone, whether it's a life cycle, whether they're a customer, whether they're a subscriber, it doesn't matter. They haven't recognized them or segmented their database in any way. Then you've got basic segmentation, which is the most popular, which is the 50%. And these ones here, they could be segmenting via demographics or geography, or the fact that they aren't a customer or they are a customer. So we're talking basic segmentation. And then you've got advanced segmentation, where they're layering different types of data over each other. And so they're actually being able to give you some more sophistication. And that also includes dynamic content. It's being used here within the advanced segmentation. And we've got 36% of email marketers are doing this. And then we've only got 8% are doing that highly personalized one-to-one personalization that we saw like with Secret Escapes. So I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity for many of us. There's other questions that we asked in the survey. What are your plans? And most of them were actually planning on becoming more sophisticated with their personalization, so that's fantastic. Because I think as far as email goes, one of the things with email is it is really, really, really easy to personalize with, because think about it. Email has got a unique identifier, which is the email address. And therefore, what that means is that we are off to a head start over and above any other channel. We can be individually, and uniquely actually personalizing to that particular person. So it's really easy. And then also with email too, we are a push channel. So therefore, we're not waiting for the customer to come to us. We actually get to push our messages to them. And therefore, if you think about it, as I was saying beforehand, as a push channel, that's pretty important, because if it means that we need to be a bit more personalized. We need to be a little bit more customer-centric than, say, the web even, because at that point in time, they've actually identified a need, and they want to resolve that need. Whereas we in email, we're pushing and we're saying, would you like, how about, have you considered, why not, things like that. And therefore, that's why the more customer-centric we are and the more personalized we are, the more successes we'll have. And the other thing too, I want to sort of just leave there with you, is think about it. If email is one of the easiest channels, and also we have some of the best technology out there for personalization. So if email is one of the best channels and easiest channels to actually be doing personalization with, does that not then mean that we can actually take the learnings that we've found out about our customers and then implement them across the other channels, which is also then going to help us to deliver that lovely customer experience, omni-channel, multi-channel, holistic, however you want to be phrasing it, experience, across all of the channels. So the next chart we have here is what's preventing you from delivering a more advanced personalization strategy. Now, this is not going to be any surprise to anyone, lack of resources, right? Which is a crying shame. But that's how it is. And the data is siloed. And one of the things that, lack of budget, lack of expertise, too little data. I laughed at the too little data because we are drowning in data. We haven't got too little data. There's a difference between too little data as in informed data, collected data that we've asked the consumers to give us information on, and what we're actually what we're collecting from their activity, from what they're browsing and purchasing and everything. And to be honest, that latter type of data, the browsing and the purchase data, that's more valuable than the data that they've actually provided us in many, many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. So what we want to do is start looking at technology that's actually hooking straight into the browsing activity, looking straight into that transactional activity because of that data being siloed. And then that way we're going to sort of be minimizing and circumventing that particular issue, so that we're not having to go all through that, your central CRM or however you've got it. So try and get that technology to be hooking straight into where the action is happening.
Thanks, Kath. So I guess by now we all understand that personalization is key, and this is something that I guess many vendors and many kind of marketing agencies are talking about on a regular basis. I wanted to take one of the brands that Kath mentioned earlier that are doing personalization really well, and just kind of give an example of how these guys, eBay, are kind of improving their kind of personalization strategy. I highly recommend you guys read the blog by Alex Weinstein. So he was the MarTech director at eBay. So it's kind of it's a public knowledge, and it's almost like a blueprint of what we should be aiming for in email specifically. And what he claims is that email is becoming more like an advertising technology. If you think about someone like them or any other retailer or any other brand that has a very big amount of content and products to talk customers about, typically on that approach like this, maybe on a Monday morning you start with a fashion email, on Tuesday you send technology, on Wednesday you send a motoring email, and so forth and so forth, and you end up kind of creating these blast communications to everyone, hoping that something is going to stick. And in reality, it doesn't always stick. So where they claim that this is going is that email should be kind of self-adapting in real time. So imagine a scenario where when you send the message out, we're not just looking at personalization from, let's say, product recommendation point of view or inserting someone's name. I think we're way past that. It's about extracting the most relevant content that's on site right now. If you are sending a triggered communication or an automated program, how about you include some of the content that's currently featuring on site? Or making the content location aware. So if we know where the customer is, make the offers relevant for the stores that are nearby. Or maybe social proofing. Don't just tell me about the product. Actually, tell me who else likes this product. Tell me how many people are looking at the product right now. As well as recommended content, as well as the stock count, right? There's nothing worse than receiving an email, liking the product, clicking through it, and actually then finding out that the product's not available. So, eBay are kind of challenging the market, and essentially it is becoming more like an ad space, or like advertising technology, in a way that you communicate the message, but then the message gets decided at a point of interaction with the message. And then the other techniques. So again, as I was saying earlier, personalization is not just about personalizing based on customers' kind of a behavior. It's also personalizing based on things like channel, or personalizing based on time to send. Some of the examples here is, again, a retailer in UK, and they're showing a social proof. So they're showing how many customers are currently looking at this product right now, right? So hurry up, make sure you don't miss out on this particular product, especially if that's the product you've been looking at, right? So it might not be available in store or in order to get delivery in time for Christmas. Or things like applying content, right? Personalization doesn't have to be linked to an individual. The context is very, very important. If we send an email, maybe making sure that we actually consider the weather, right? So, if it's hot, we're going to be selling fans. Or if it's cold or it's raining, maybe, we're going to sell some kind of a home product, so home improvement product. Some of the other things they can do, especially around channel, right? Maybe let Gmail do the selling for you. Look at things in how you can improve the code of the emails themselves, so that Gmail can extract the valuable content. If you do have a coupon, don't just send a coupon and hope that people will open the email. Send a coupon that is optimized for Gmail inbox, making sure that it does appear in a promotion tab as an offer that's expiring soon. Again, all of these are very simple techniques, but again, not many or not enough retailers and other brands are leveraging this. And then one of the other dimensions of personalization is the time, right? So typically we don't think of time as a way of personalizing, but actually it's a very personal thing. When people interact with emails or the messages, it's very, very important, because you do want to stay at the top of the inbox when they open their account. And when we kind of at Snap, we went through this kind of best time to send capability, we actually figured that there's 3 different types of people. It's not enough to just build an AI model and hope that it's going to work for everyone. So instead, we actually found that there's 3 different types of people. There's some people that are opening the messages as soon as you send the email. There's other type of people that have a very regular pattern, right? So maybe they open the emails every day at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And there's some people that open at random times. It's very hard to predict. But all these different approaches do require different types of engagement strategy. Or for this particular use case, they do require a whole different AI models to predict the best time to engage this customer.
Great. Now, what Rick was talking about there is absolutely true. So what he was saying and referring to at the very beginning then is that personalization is big. It's way, way more than what we tend to assume is just personalization, which is like basic recommendations. You know, that's how personalization started out. But that's not where it's ended up. So personalization is all about that contextual, personalization. It is talking about, personalizing it to their device, personalizing it at time of send, personalizing it by life stage as well. So we're talking way, way beyond just, individual personalizations based upon the browsing history and all the rest of it. But of course that is part of it. So what we want to do is we want to go to the next stage. We want to start to be smart with personalization. So we want to be using those customer insights to be going beyond the static segments. We want to be leveraging previous transaction data, browsing behavior, contact history to become more customer-centric. And really importantly, to be optimizing the profit margins. In this way we could actually be segmenting for price, conscious shoppers. And then we can also, on the other hand, we can never show a discount to the people who are buying regularly and who, we shouldn't be offering discounts to. And there's a new research that's just been released. They found out that basically brands are actually discounting too much. They're over-discounting, right? So that's one thing. So be sure that you're not over-discounting. But two, they're blanket discounting as well. And they're shooting themselves in the foot. Because why would you want to be doing that? Why would you want to be giving a discount to someone who is going to be coming back to you and shopping with you? You can treat them by giving them something other than a discount because you know that they're going to come back, and so you can give them that lovely recognition and a special a treat of some sort. But this is a kind of, again, personalization. Start to be smart. Now the other type of smart is we as marketers, not only just using the data to be smart, but also, right, how we're actually identifying and using this personalization. So one of the questions that we asked in one of our surveys was, if you tested the effects of personalization, did they provide an uplift? And we asked them on basics, two basics. So based only on customer, on campaign metrics. So they only measured their personalization on a campaign-by-campaign basis, or did they also base it on customer lifetime value as well? And the interesting finding was that if they were measuring and looking at and testing their personalization based on campaign metrics and customer lifetime value, 100% of them said that personalization provided an uplift. If they only based it on campaign metrics, then only, I think it's about, 88% of them said yes, it provided an uplift. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because if we start to think about it, then this also is evidence that personalization is actually a customer experience facet, right? One of those pillars that we were just talking about. So what we want to do is we want to be testing smartly. We want to be using this information smartly because ideally we want to be bringing more revenue into the brand, right, into our brand. We want to make our customers happier and keeping shopping with us for longer, right? So therefore, start to be intelligent and wise and smart with how you're actually measuring as well, and start to think beyond. With personalization, it is a bigger thing than just a campaign-by-campaign factor. It needs to be measured over a series of campaigns, over a bigger period, over a customer lifetime value, a year or so, or even more, right? So start to think that kind of angle.
Thanks, Kat. And when it comes to measuring specifically, what we often find is that brands very often rely on kind of on an average customer lifetime value or average kind of customer churn rate. And actually, in order to improve any of this, we believe that marketers should have a more precise segmentation strategy in place. If you think about customer segmentation, it's not just about demographics or just about the product transaction history. Segmentation kind of is all about different things as well. So you will have customers that buy on regular basis. You will have customers that bought once or just browse products but haven't made a purchase, or maybe browse categories but haven't browsed products, or been to the site but actually haven't really interacted. And all these different customer segments will have different value to you as a brand. So it's almost impossible to take all of these customers and treat them the same, especially, not only when it comes to email marketing, but also, if you're thinking about paid media activation, all those different segments, it's so important that they're synchronized across all the different channels consistently. And then one of the points that Kath mentioned was the over discounting. It's very, very important to separate your value-seeking customers from all the other customers that are more than happy to pay a full price. Because once you know that, you can significantly decrease the amount of discounts and offers you have to give to these customers. And you can treat them differently. And also that means you can optimize each of those individual segments differently. Also, we do encourage our customers, but also, kind of other brands to think about customer segmentation, not just kind of based on the product ownership, but by different dimensions, right? So who are my customer segments based on channel engagement? So what are the most frequent channels they come via? Or what are my customer segments based on a funnel? So where are they currently right now in a buying cycle? As well as all the transaction data, as well as demographic data, as well as all the AI-based predictions on how likely the customer is to spend in the future. And once you have that, you can start doing things like really understanding how each individual segment is evolving, rather than saying my average customer lifetime value or my average spend per customer is $200. You can be a lot more granular, right? A customer that buys electronics, what is the typical frequency of visit? What is the typical frequency of purchase? And then you can start optimizing those individual customer segment journeys. And more importantly, this is something that we advocate significantly, is that marketers in many ways are expecting significant results, but yet they're still relying on averages to create campaigns. And marketing based on averages does create average results. Think about any of the abandoned browse or abandoned basket programs and ask yourself, why are you sending the message at the time when you are sending it? Is it because you something decided, a year ago, a few years ago, and that's what you're always doing? Because in some cases, if you're selling a product that's, let's say, $40 or $15, if you're going to contact them after 4 hours, well, it may be way too late because they might have already bought the product of your competitors. However, if the product is over or the basket size is over $150, well, that incentive that you're giving them may be way too early, right? So you're giving away discounts for no reason whatsoever. However, if the customer basket value is $105, well, maybe 4 hours is a good time. But you're not going to notice unless you start analyzing and understanding each individual customer behavior depending on the product that they're trying to purchase. And going back to the point that Kath was making around measuring your customer lifetime value and optimizing your marketing campaigns and email marketing specifically for that, it's so important to, sometimes it's very hard to find an ROI for insights or analytics. But again, there has been a research done in 2015 that's actually proven that if you're able to apply analytics to one more area in your marketing business, you are able to improve your profit, and you are able to improve your entire marketing ROI. So one of the biggest differences you can create for yourself as a brand is through finding those small improvements over and over again through doing things like better segmentation and better personalization.
Great. Now we're going to be talking about here how we need to be looking at, so the third one is to help them to make their journey seamless. Because the bottom line is that if we put barriers in front of them, then people don't like to work hard. Remember I was saying to you, humans are innately, we're quite lazy. And when it comes to the web, we are very lazy. It's kind of like, why am I going to have to jump through these hurdles when I can get no, have no hurdles when I go to your competitor? Well, they're going to go straight to the competitor. So we need to make it seamless across all the channels. So what we're looking at here is what I said to you at the very, very beginning. I believe it's more that holistic approach. So we're looking at all of the channels, but we're looking at it from the perspective of the actual journey. So rather than looking at it on a channel by channel by channel basis, we're looking at the customer journey. That's our focus, because we're now customer-centric marketers. And also, one of the things I want to sort of just pull up here too, that I'm a big believer in naming things appropriately, right? So if we do want to become customer-centric marketers, then I think we need to do away with multi-channel marketing. I think we need to do away with omni-channel marketing, because both of those are talking about the channels. Both of those are actually talking about from our perspective, the brand's perspective, not the customer's perspective. The customer doesn't look at channels. The customer looks at their journey. And so therefore, for us to start to really think about it, so, we want to be focusing on the customer's journey only. And that's why I created the terminology of holistic approach for that, so that we start looking away from, those brand-centric terms. And, just give you another example as well, which is kind of appropriate, because we're talking about personalizing based upon life cycle, right? So we call it life cycle marketing instead of marketing automation. But marketing automation is the term that tends to be used. But marketing automation is all about us and how we actually make that, those programs, how we make all of that happen, as opposed to the customer and their life cycle and where they're at. And suddenly now we start talking about life cycle marketing, we're thinking about, well, whose life cycle is it? Oh, it's the customer's life cycle. So now we're focused on the customer. Rather than marketing automation, what are we focused on? The technology. We're focused on the how. So things like that can make a huge difference. So fact here from Bright Pearl, 87% of retailers agree that omni-channel, yes, they use that, that's okay, omni-channel marketing strategy is critical or very important to their success. And this is not something that we as marketers have literally have sort of like come across and decided ourselves. Do you know who actually decided for us? It was the customer. Think about it, right? Our customers have been shopping offline for thousands of years. Not our particular customers, but customers have, consumers have. And therefore, the offline shopping experience has evolved over that time and has been developed really, really intensely, so that we know exactly what to do. And you think about the money that is spent on understanding the psychology and everything of people coming in and shopping, say in a big supermarket, right? And so the first thing you see when you come in that supermarket is the sort of like the groceries, so the vegetables and the fruit and everything. In Australia, we actually have little mist machines that sprinkle beautiful little tiny droplets of water. This is all done with a purpose, and that's to enhance our experience, right? To sort of make us think this is lovely. It's a fresh, food place. I have lovely. Look, they've just been picked. They've got dew on them. No, not quite. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like they've gone to lots of great extremes. Whereas we here online, we're still finding our way. We're still trying to get it together. When we started bringing online shopping on, it was a clunky experience. It was a bad experience. We, took them through lots and lots of hurdles and said, jump this and, roll over that 3 times and all the rest of it before you got to actually achieve your objective. Things are a bit better. But at the end of the day, it's the consumer who's throwing their hat down and saying, I want a better experience. And that's what we as brands need to be delivering for them, because they're the ones that matter, right? 60% of millennials expect consistent brand experiences, whether in-store, online, or by phone. Now, this is what I was saying beforehand. You know, we have always been focusing more on the brand, and I get it, because technology is evolving. The whole thing of online shopping, still compared to thousands of years of offline shopping, is still rather relatively new. So, but if we can prioritize it, if we can start to think about that customer experience, think about being customer centric, we're going to get there quicker.
Thanks, Kath. And I wanted to look at some of the some kind of KPIs of what is the actual value of connecting across multiple channels to customers. And again, there was a survey by HBR where they analyzed behaviors of almost 50,000 consumers, and they have found that people are more likely to make repeat purchases within 6 months if they engage by multiple channels. They're also more likely to recommend the brand to friends and family. And consumers that are connected across more than 4 channels, they do spend significantly more, which kind of creates a business case for marketers to actually focus specifically or create specific campaigns and tactics that are focusing on connecting consumers across more than one channel. Because quite often campaigns and tactics are very much focused about promoting products or selling more, but actually there's opens up an opportunity to connect across multiple channels. And when you're able to connect across multiple channels, you can also start to visualize what is a typical lifetime value for someone that is connected across email and maybe SMS and across the website as well. And once you have that, that will help you build a business case to spend more money on maybe additional channels or creating campaigns to encourage customers to maybe try coming offline if they only shop in store, or if they're only shopping in store, getting them to come online. And also, once you have been able to connect across multiple channels, that means you can start answering questions like, what does role email play in selling a particular product line to an existing customer? Otherwise, if you're looking at individual channels as a silo, you're very much going to be relying on this last click attribution approach, where you'll be expecting every single channel, including email, to be delivering some sort of conversion. But maybe in some cases, email is not delivering the conversion. Maybe in some cases, email is contributing a significant factor towards nurturing the product, the customer, towards the conversion itself. And also, I wanted to challenge your thinking around where we're placing emphasis in this typical funnel. If you think about a typical abandoned basket program, let's say where you have 10,000 consumers abandon their basket, and maybe only 7,800 actually kind of or 7,800 abandon the basket. Other ones have checked out, and you only identify maybe 8% of those. Out of those, you deliver kind of a significantly less emails, maybe because of delivery rates, or maybe because some of the emails no longer existent. And then even less of those people open, and you end up with maybe 8 people converted at the end of it. What you could do is you could improve maybe the open rate by 10%. And we all know that improving open rate by 10%, it could be a significant challenge, right? And you might get a few more conversions if you do that. Or another approach is you can improve the inbox placement rate by 2%, which again will lead to some sort of improvement in your performance. However, if you're able to improve identification rates by only 5%, that gives you a significantly more uplift. And by the way, 5% is a very conservative figure. You know, it is very easy to improve those identification rates. And I guess the reason I tell you this is because I encourage you to think more about the upstream funnel and what other things you could improve instead of just focusing on the maybe subject lines or improving the open rates by any other means. What can we do to improve the identification rate?
Great, thanks, Rick. Now, we're getting there. Number 4, help them by delivering an enhanced customer experience. And this is just tracking back to what I was saying beforehand. One of the easier thing that we're actually finding now is that it's actually easier for us to be delivering an enhanced customer experience online than it is offline. It's a lot cheaper. We've got the technology to help us. And this is the key thing. This is why we really, really need to be making sure that we can do it. An example of this would be, you know, growing your email database using intelligent pop-ups on your website, right? Which means that you don't serve, or you never serve, an inaccurate or an untimely pop-up, because it's actually personalized to that person, because you recognize them on an individual basis. And that's an enhanced customer experience, right? They're not going to keep on going, oh, I keep getting that pop-up even though I've signed up, or I keep getting that pop-up, or that's really, really frustrating. And, you know, you're not getting them upset in any way, but you're actually, the whole point of those pop-ups is actually to help them, remember? They're helping them to achieve their objective. So start to sort of think about ways that you can be achieving that. One of the things that we found out was, and this is a scary factor, when we surveyed marketers, we found that web forms, which is brilliant, generate 60%. We're not talking about pop-ups here, but we're just talking about web forms itself. Generate 60% of all database signups. However, only 50% of the email teams have actually input into them. So that means that only 50% of the forms out there are actually owned by email teams. Website, e-commerce, all those other teams actually own them. And that's really, really frustrating, because thinking about it, right, we as email marketers tend to own the KPI of list growth, right? So that's a fact. If that is the case, then our hands are being tied if we are not also owning the form. And I'm talking about the form, not just the form copy, but I'm talking about the placement. I'm talking about the popovers. I'm talking about everything where you can be collecting throughout the entire customer journey, right? So this is a crucial thing, that if you realize that is you are one of those people, one of those marketers who are rewarded on growing your list, but have actually got your hands tied, go and try and rectify that, because what you're doing is you're not actually giving your customers the best experience, and you're actually, you know, sort of being, yeah, not treated well in the meantime. So.
Thanks, Kath. And as Kath was saying earlier, the channels and kind of this whole omni-channel or cross-channel approach is very much a term or jargon that we use in marketing teams on a regular basis. We very much like to think that when we design these customer journeys, that customers will follow the path that we created. But in reality, it's customers that choose how they're going to interact with a brand. And if you think of that as kind of nirvana of a scenario where a customer might have interacted, maybe let's say on your homepage, looked at a particular luxury product, and then you would like to be able to retarget them on paid media or maybe via paid search. When they receive an email, the email is fully personalized based on the product they've been looking at, maybe with some incentives or maybe with countdown timers towards, you know, when the deal expires. And then as they're going through the different publications and the different kind of mediums, they are seeing your relevant personalized banners that are relevant for that particular product. And then ultimately, when they go back to your homepage, they are seeing kind of a personalized experience based on the product they've been looking at. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, this sounds, you know, great, but in reality can be very, very difficult and expensive to achieve. But I can really tell you that it isn't. You know, it is about making those audiences available across those different channels and managing it consistently. And there's many different techniques around that. It is about, you know, looking for it and seeking advice in those areas where maybe you might not be kind of as strong in, or you might not have in-house capability in. Also, Kath was talking about intelligent popovers and overlays. If you think about a typical customer session on site and how you typically approach abandonment of sessions, you know, we wait for someone to abandon the session, and then after that we try to chase them down using maybe emails or maybe display ads. And typically what happens is when consumers interact in a session, they kind of fluctuate between converting and churning on a regular basis. You know, they might see the product they like, but then they realize that the product is no longer available in stock, or maybe, you know, they don't have the right size. Then they see again something they like, and then they're about to churn. So it is about identifying these different stages through the session as the customer is still interacting with you, and then figuring out what is the best time to serve this message. It's about not serving the message straight away when they're out on site, but it's about serving the message at the most appropriate time when you know that they're definitely about to convert, but for some reason they're about to leave. And it is so much cheaper to keep people inside the sessions than to try to bring them back a week later or maybe the next day later using paid media.
Okay, so number 5, help them by predicting what they want. I realize we're over, so we're going to, I'll keep this very brief, but basically here we want to go beyond just stats. We want to be understanding the why of the customer motivations. What is motivating them? Why are they doing that? We want to be analyzing and scoring customers based upon their behavior and based upon our ability to be able to predict their future actions. This is what I call, it's all about us as marketers, bringing marketing back to our roles, because often we are now, technologists rather than marketers, and I think somehow we need to be both, obviously, but this goes back to that leading with strategy, not leading with technology. So the technology is going to help us with the predictions, and it's going to help us to actually deliver what the customer wants. And so what we need to do is be that marketer that helps, that is helped and assisted by that very, very clever technology which does the predicting. So analytics and predictive analytics a market study found that less than a quarter of businesses are using predictive analytics, though most of them actually aspire to do so. And it's common sense, because this is why. The benefits are clear, both for the brand and for the customer, and I love this. Right, so it's actually helpful. This is the whole factor, right? Predictive analytics, gives you better results. Customer lifetime value. So on the 20% versus 10%. So that's a double for the customer lifetime value. It's to be honest, it's a no-brainer. Average profit margin per customer as well. That's double too. So without going, Rick's going to show you some examples now.
Thanks, Kath. When it comes to data, and I know that we're all kind of striving of bringing more and more data into our marketing automation or email platforms so we can do better and personalized customer experiences, there comes a point at which it becomes impossible for a human being or for any marketer to leverage the amount of data sets that we need to have an accurate decision of what is the next best thing that we actually would like to serve the customer. There was a study done last year where they analyzed the best performing AI models that predict customers' likelihood to convert or to churn, and they found that if you're relying on the demographics data or the transaction data alone, you can only get 54% accuracy within a year of using the model, which basically means that if I'm going to sell you a $2 kind of a bill, or if I'm going to sell you kind of a $2 for let's say free, you're still going to get a better ROI on that, right? It's pretty much a coin flip. So in order to do a really good kind of accurate predictions of what customers are going to do next, you need to be looking at things like the channel data, the customer choice data, engagement, satisfaction, and messaging data. And this is the point where you need to start looking at something like AI. And some of the kind of most simplest examples, kind of in marketing applications, and some of the benefits that customers are seeing is things like being able to predict how likely someone to engage or how likely someone to open a message. That generates a higher response rate, because obviously you are landing the message at the time when they're most likely to see it at the top of their inbox. Being able to predict the next best offers or best products, again, you are getting higher offer acceptance rate. Or if you're able to predict how much is the customer going to spend with you, either in the same session or within the next 30 days, it does allow you to increase the basket size, because you can do things like intelligent popovers to say, hey, if you're looking to spend $100, maybe I'm going to serve you an intelligent popover to say, spend $150, and I'm going to get you, and I'm going to give you $25 back. Or if you're looking to spend $200, I'm going to give you $50 off, right? It's about increasing the basket size and also making sure they don't go to your competition to acquire that product. And also, if you're able to predict the churn sooner rather than after it happened, on individual basis rather than relying on averages like we used to, saying, okay, if a customer hasn't shopped with us in the last 6 months, therefore they're churning. But based on what? Every single customer has a unique buying behavior, and it's critical to analyze each individual customer's buying pattern to decide when the individual customer is likely to churn, so you can engage them with the most relevant message to retain them. And also, if you're able to predict the likelihood to convert, you can also decrease the usage of coupons and discounts that you give to the customers, because you know that they're going to convert anyway. Why would you further incentivize? Only unless they're just about to leave, right? You know there's a 95% chance of them converting, but they are leaving, right? Maybe that's a good time to give them incentive. On the other hand, don't. So if you know they're going to convert, let's just let them convert, right? Let's not cannibalize our own business. So I would like to thank you for staying a bit longer. So I know some of you have hung on. We will be kind of sharing the recording later. But if you guys would like to see the map in action, do drop us an email. Find map online, and we'll set up a customized demo for you guys.